I know. Another video on Saltiest Gaming. It's like my third one in a row, except for the Hogwarts Legacy video. But hey, it's not my fault that he keeps saying dumb things, okay? Literally the second that I uploaded my last video on him, he uploads the video we're gonna talk about today, which is mind-numbingly stupid. Literally everything he says in this 10-minute long video is wrong. The video is called Mark Cerny and the PlayStation 5 and the PC Master Race. So I don't want to, waste any more time. Let's just get right into it.
Oh, peasants! Living in the Dark Ages, never to experience the beauty of a GTX 3090. Huh? That's a graphics card. You have one.
Ha! He's got a 2060.
Even my graphics card is stronger than that.
Why does he feel the need to start every video with a cringy, unfunny edit followed up by like his intro, which is just gameplay footage with rock music under it? Like, it's not 2010 anymore. You don't have to start your gaming videos with rock music anymore. You can just say hello and start.
What's up, PlayStation Nation? Welcome to another Saltiest PlayStation News Report. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Before the PlayStation 5 launched, Mark Cerny did a deep dive into the console, what was specifically inside it, and the specs. And if you're wondering, the haters were out in force before the console even launched, specifically on the Xbox and PC side. When you ask yourself what is inside the PlayStation 5 that makes it special, well, the price, number one, is $400.
What's in a PS5 that makes it special? Nothing. And the price of a PS5 is not $400. That's a lie. If I want to buy a PlayStation 5 right now and I Google PlayStation 5, all of them are around 600 bucks. The cheapest ones I can find are around 500, okay? They're not 400 bucks, it's a lie.
You cannot find any equivalents on the market for PC, because when you build a PC or you buy one pre-made, you're gonna have to get all kinds of parts. It's just very costly to be a PC gamer.
No, not really. I mean, yeah, when you first buy your first PC, it's gonna be more expensive than a console. But after that, upgrading the parts, which you only have to do like once every generation, it's usually around the same price as buying a new console every generation, if not cheaper. And on top of that, you don't have to pay for, using your internet. And you don't have to buy, like, new libraries of games. You can just use the one that you have been building up for years. I think in a lot of ways, over time, PC gaming is a lot cheaper than console gaming.
But PlayStation 5 is rocking a CPU with 3.5 gigahertz, 8-core AMD Zen 2. You guys were around a year plus ago, year and a half ago. The big talk was RDNA 2.0, true RDNA. Oh, the PlayStation 5 doesn't have full RDNA 2. Oh, guess what the other narrative was? The GPU, right? The GPU 10.3 teraflops RDNA 2. And guess who was talking about that? That was the Xbox side, because of course they use that teraflop as a measure of something when it doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things.
First of all, I'm not a big tech guy. I should say that right off the bat in this video. But to just push teraflops aside because they don't mean much is wrong. Okay, because they do still mean something. They're the metric that is used to calculate the computing power of a GPU. And the weird thing about them is that you can have two graphics cards with one of them having more teraflops than the other but still performing worse. So that's why a lot of people might say that they don't matter or they don't mean much. But you should kind of see teraflops as how much a graphics card or a console theoretically could do, like what it's technically capable of, but it might be held back by certain other things.
12, we have 10. The RAM, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6. Storage is where it's at with that custom SSD 825. So Salty, what's the point? Well, we're about to talk about it, okay? Because it's very interesting when it comes to these PCMR guys, because they like to insert themselves, into the console war discussion. Now, let's put a little caveat or notes into the whole discussion. This is all for jokes. You take the console war seriously, you should probably check yourself into an appointment with a psychologist or specialist, because it doesn't really mean much. These companies are out there to make money.
What? How are you gonna tell other people to do this? Like, you and your fan base, especially you're one of the biggest PlayStation fanboys out there, Saltiest Gaming. Like, and you're gonna tell other people don't console war because it's cringe? You're console warring right now as you're making this video. Are you that dumb? Like, really? I shouldn't be surprised, because obviously you are. Gotta remember that this is the guy who claimed that Game Pass was brainwashing consumers.
Just like cheering for a team or whatever, people like to have tribalistic natures to them when it comes to human beings, and the same goes for your favorite console. I personally think that it's impossible to kind of be a neutral in this situation because...
Of course you believe that, right? That it's impossible to be neutral and you have to have some sort of allegiance. It's not like most people are normal and don't care.
But back to the PC weirdos. These PC guys, for the most part, are closet Xbox guys, for the most part. But back to the PC weirdos. These PC guys, for the most part, are closet Xbox guys, for the most part.
What do you mean closeted Xbox guys? I mean, I guess most people on PC do prefer Xbox over PlayStation. Not that we would buy either console. But the main reason for that is because Xbox has just been more pro-consumer. They've been putting all their games on PC and they don't keep games off of PC like PlayStation is doing.
And they like to insert themselves, like I said, into these discussions. And now, since PlayStation 5 games are going over the PC, we're seeing more and more situations where even the beefiest rigs out there aren't able to handle the greatness that is PlayStation 5 games. We saw this first with Returnal. The RAM requirements for Returnal were pretty crazy at that time.
Now I want to stop him right here. It's not that PCs can't run these games that are being ported to PC. It's more that they're being so terribly optimized that they don't run well. That's not the fault of the machine, it's the fault of the developers for being lazy and not optimizing the game properly, which they can. Other bigger, better games have been properly optimized when ported to PC.
And if you look at it, the PlayStation 5's custom AMD RDNA 2 GPU with 36 compute units is actually the equivalent to an AMD RX 6700, which has the same exact compute units. So like I said, Returnal came out for the PC and the requirements were as follows. You needed an iCore i5, AMD Ryzen 5 1500X 4-core, and then where things got a little interesting is the RAM requirements. You needed 32 gigs of RAM for the recommended settings for Returnal. Now fast forward to Forspoken, which is going to be coming out on the PC, and guess what's getting people all riled up? You're going to need a crazy, insane amount of RAM for this game on PC, and that is 32 gigs of RAM.
Okay, so let's pull up this chart because it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, first thing I notice is that even at ultra settings, the most you're gonna get is 60 FPS, which is absolutely hilarious to me. But then I look over to the minimum, right? The minimum required to play this game is a 1060 and 16 gigabytes of RAM to run it at 720p 30 FPS. This is unacceptable. This is a bad April Fool's joke. Like, how shit are you at optimizing your games that 1060 and 16 gigabytes of RAM will only get you 720p and 30 FPS? Let's look at other games, right, on the PC, like Red Dead Redemption 2, which is also a third-person game in an open world like Forspoken, but looks 10 times better. Let's look at the recommended specs for that one. Now, the recommended system requirements are 12 gigabytes of RAM and a GTX 1060. That is less than Forspoken's minimum requirements, and it'll get you 1080p 60 FPS on a game that looks far better. So it is possible to properly optimize your game for PC.
Now you're asking yourself, well, how is that possible considering that there's only 16 gigs of GDDR6 RAM in the PlayStation 5? Well, the console is a closed platform, therefore it's easier for developers to develop for the system. They've spoken on that subject numerous times, even before the PlayStation 5 launched. They had the dev kits. People reported how pleased they were and how easy it was to develop for the PlayStation 5. And then when you're porting those games over, you have to have other teams work on it. And guess what? The minimum specs for PC are gonna be a lot higher.
Now that's not necessarily true at all. Like, he says you have to have other teams work on it. And usually when you do that, you hire a studio that specializes in optimizing and porting games to other platforms like PC. So, you know, they know how to properly optimize the games. It has been done before, like I just showed you. Red Dead Redemption, a far better looking game than Forspoken, has been properly ported and properly optimized for PC. It is possible.
Now, according to all these PC guys, they have the latest and greatest technology out there. It doesn't matter how much these PC parts cost, they're going to have the best. Even if graphics cards are $2,000, it shouldn't be an issue. So the question that I have is, why is this a big deal? And why are PC dudes complaining and crying about the minimum specs for PlayStation 5 games? It shouldn't be an issue if you're rocking the latest and greatest.
I mean, even if you're rocking the latest and greatest, it's still a problem, because at ultra settings, the game only runs at 60 FPS. The game's just poorly optimized. Doesn't matter how great your hardware is inside your PC. Even if you've got the best and can run the game at the highest settings, it's still shit.
Over the past few years, the minimum amount of RAM you need to play PC games was around 8 to 16. Now, you look at 2023 and we're getting up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. And honestly, if you're a PC dude and you can't put 32 gigabytes of RAM in your custom rig, then you just need to shut the f up.
Coming from a guy who clearly has no clue what the fuck he's talking about, you don't need 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's nice to have it, you don't need it. I just looked on Steam. You can go look on Steam as well if you want. All of the games that have been released in the past couple of months do not require you to have 32 gigabytes of RAM. Literally, every single AAA game that I've seen on Steam at most requires 16 gigabytes of RAM. The only games that require 32 gigabytes of RAM are poorly optimized pieces of shit like Forspoken.
Either that, or you could go out and buy a PlayStation 5 and play it on that platform, because we've seen over and over and over with comparisons to PC that the PlayStation 5, for the cost to power ratio of what you're actually getting, is second to none. Like I
Okay, he's kidding, right? Like, I have not seen a single comparison between PC and PS5 where the PS5 actually look better than the PC. Because it doesn't. I'm sorry, PC is just in every single way the better platform, and that's objectively. If you prefer the PS5, that is fine, but objectively the PC is better.
Said the all-digital version of the PlayStation 5 is $400. Now, you can't buy much on PC for $400 these days, and it is insane that you are able to have a complete system, plug and play into a TV or a monitor for that cost.
Yeah, but like I said earlier in the video, that the initial price of a PC is more expensive than a console, but over time a PC will be cheaper. I should know, I used to have consoles, and I definitely spent more money on gaming back then than I do now. Also, you can find a PC for $400. Just type in PC for $400. It's not gonna be the best thing ever, but they do exist.
But it's pretty funny to see all the bitching and moaning from the PC side when it comes to these ports and what the minimum specs are, because based on polls and actual data, the majority of PC dudes out there aren't rocking a RTX 4090. They're rocking some like piece of shit GPU, some potato rig that can barely run games at 1080p, having 1080p monitors and stuff like that. But when they talk online, they flex their muscles and they're like, yeah, I got the latest and greatest. But
I don't know if there are a lot of people that pretend to have like a 3090, well, in reality they have a 10 series card. But I'm not afraid to say I have a 10 series card, okay? Because that baby works just fine. It runs most AAA games at 1080p 60 FPS. I don't have felt the need to replace it. I would love to replace it with a new card, obviously, but I don't feel the need to do so because it still runs new games fine. But clearly Saltiest Gaming doesn't understand what the actual issue is here, because even if you have the greatest of the greatest, as he calls it, you can't run Forspoken in this case at a higher frame rate than 60 FPS, which is ridiculous, it's insane, it's stupid. I know that console people are used to having their games locked to 60 FPS, and for some reason just accept that. But on PC, especially since gaming PCs can differ a lot from each other, it's not okay to just lock FPS at 60. Like, come on. Anyway boys, this is the end of the video. I'm gonna wrap it up here. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I promise that the next video will not be about Saltiest Gaming. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Something just fell. Goodbye.